office throughout the week. Sunday and Wednesday is like the all-day day. It's like 9 to 9. And then Monday and Tuesday are about 8 to 5 and meeting with families and students and one-on-one discipleship and staff and everything that youth pastors do in a large-sized church, So that is who we are, and I don't ever see myself not being in the local church. That's just part of it. But along with that, as long as I'm in the local church and as long as I'm pouring into students, it's amazing how for years I understand that discipleship is making disciples is a command. But now that I've been a believer for a while, I see that when Jesus told us to make disciples, he was giving us a gift because he knew that spiritually mattering to someone else means that you have to keep moving.
Get your tickets now and come and hear what's new, both musically and in the lives of Casting Crowns, as we welcome them in concert once again on Good Friday, April 14th at the SIU Arena. Get your tickets online through the Vine website at wvyn.org.
Real Life Radio, 90.9 The Vine.
90.9 The Vine, in conjunction with AreaSports.net, proudly presents The Sports Couch. The Sports Couch is the area's only locally produced weekly sports show that is live on FM radio and also streamed live on both of our websites at AreaSports.net and WVYN.org. Who will be on the couch this morning? Let's find out. The Sports Couch is on the air right now. Well, it's no April Fool. It's time once again for the Sports Couch. 90 minutes of great local sports talk. I'm Randy Olson, live in studio along with Danny Anselment. Danny, golly, here we are, the first day of April. Where has the time gone? And still a lot of exciting things going on in sports.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of things going on in the world of college sports right now. High school is full swing in baseball and softball, and Mother Nature is still not wanting to cooperate. It's 39 degrees this morning. Where's spring?
Yeah, exactly. We had some days there where it was in the 70s, almost 80 degrees. Well, I think we did get over 80 degrees a couple of days, and you thought, boy, you're going to be in the field here soon. And now all of a sudden with it in the 30s yesterday, that kind of changes things a little bit. But Final Four going on in men's college basketball. That's an exciting day. And then big surprise in the women's NCAA tournament last night.
Yeah, UConn got upset by Mississippi State last night in overtime, 66-64, and ended a 111-game winning streak.
That's just hard to comprehend, isn't it? 111 straight games in a row that the UConn women have won. Wow.
Yeah, and at any level, but at college level, that's just been an unbelievable run. And I'm telling you, the Mississippi State young ladies, you talk about some young ladies that was fired up. The smallest girl on the court hit this shot. I left her hand with 1 second to go from just to the left of the free throw line and was nothing but net, 66-64.
Wow, that's just amazing. What a run by the UConn women. But, yeah, you had to end sometime, but holy cow, I don't think people expected that last night.
Oh, no. Mississippi State's now headed to the championship game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you bet. And we'll find out who's going to be headed to the championship game in men's college basketball after the Final Four semifinals are played today. You got South Carolina, the real Cinderella, coming in as a 7 seed against number 1 seed Gonzaga. And then you've got number 1 seed North Carolina against Oregon. So 2 great semifinals.
Adding a little to that, that's who Mississippi State ladies are going to play. They're going to play the South Carolina women.
How about that?
For the NCAA championship.
Wouldn't it be something if the South Carolina men were also
in that championship
as well? And wouldn't it be something if it was North Carolina and South Carolina?
Yeah, it would be.
I mean, it really would be.
And there's a chance that could be.
That very well easily could happen. And I don't know that South Carolina has ever beaten North Carolina before. And I don't know how often they've played, but I would venture to say that's never happened, that South Carolina has ever beaten North Carolina in basketball.
Well, it'd sure make for an interesting game on Monday night.
Holy cow, yes it would. So we'll see what happens there. Also, of course, the Major League Baseball season going to kick off tomorrow night, and guess where it starts at? It starts in Busch Stadium in St. Louis as the Cardinals will host the World champion Chicago Cubs. I hope I never have to say that again.
Well, I seen a nice post on Facebook a while ago. It said World Series champions 2017. It was showing the championship ring and it had Chicago Cubs in it, and at the bottom of it had April Fools.
Yeah, because it was a 2017 ring.
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, April Fools. Okay. Billy Rocket, how'd you like that one? Huh? But anyway, yeah, they'll kick off the season tomorrow night at Busch Stadium. Carlos Martinez will get the start on the mound for the Cardinals instead of Adam Wainwright, and that's something that Wainwright is fine with. And the Cardinals got things done also with Yadier Molina, signing him to a 3-year extension contract, which was well-deserved, and so he'll retire in a Cardinal uniform, and, of course, he'll be a Hall of Famer someday, too.
Oh, yeah, they always talk about the Cardinal way. They finally maybe have done it once.
Yeah, I think that they have. We haven't told you yet who's going to be on the show, so let's tell you. Talking about the Cardinals, talking about the Final Four, and probably a lot of other things, soccer in St. Louis and many other things, is going to be joining us Frank Cusumano, the sports director of KSDK-TV Channel 5. This will be the first time we've had him on the show since he's been elevated to the sports director of Channel 5. So we'll talk to him about that and his role there, and of course, I know he's excited about the home opener, the season opener with the Cardinals tomorrow night. He'll weigh in on the Cardinals, give us a little preview of what he thinks will happen this season, and see where he thinks this Final Four is going to end up, too, with these games. And then, again, a big vote coming up at the election this Tuesday in St. Louis. They'll be voting on a referendum with the possibility to end up seeing a soccer stadium built in St. Louis for Major League Soccer, and I know Frank will weigh in on that. So,
yeah, it's always nice to be able to talk with some national media like that and get their perspective. I also want to see what he's thinking about the Colton Wong situation. We talked last week a little bit about, was this guy ever going to come up to his potential, and we thought most of it was between his ears. Well, he showed another prime example last week when he went off about the Cardinals said, we may have to look at a platoon situation here if a guy can't hit more than $169, and he comes unwound thinking that he's entitled to this, back to this entitled deal. He thinks he's entitled to it. Well, you know what? What happened to the deal that you got to perform to get this? There's no give-me's.
yeah.
There's somebody always wanting your position. If you don't perform, somebody will be there to take it. And he kind of had a meltdown, and then the next day he's trying to play cover it up.
Yeah. So it's interesting what's going on there, the chemistry there in the clubhouse with Colton Wong, and we'll see what Frank has to say about that. So that'll be a great discussion. We're also going to talk with Jack Bullock. He is, of course, the webmaster for A Baseline View, which has been a long-running boys basketball website devoted to Class 1A and 2A basketball. And we'll kind of look back and review the high school basketball season, visit with Jack a little bit. He saw a lot of basketball games this year. He got to see some teams that we didn't get to see, Danny, and so it'll be interesting to see what Jack's perspective is on the season and that sort of thing, and I'm sure he'll have a lot to say and weigh in on that great run by the Oakville Rockets.
He's got a lot of basketball perspective. He spends a lot of time in the gym. Jack does a great job there, so it's always nice to see him around and talk to him and get his perspective. He's a very knowledgeable man on high school basketball.
He is, and unfortunately, Jack lost his home here recently due to a tragic fire and lost really all of his belongings. And gosh, I don't even know where to begin on that. It's a terrible thing, and so he's trying to battle back from that as well. So
yeah, and he come home from a high school basketball game to that.
Saw the fire, right? Exactly. So Jack will join us on the show, and also we're going to talk Frontier Bobcats, Frontier College Bobcats sports this morning, as we'll have head softball coach Marty Slover on with us. We'll also have head baseball coach Hunter Bryan on with us. Weather permitting, they're hoping to do the dedication of the new baseball field and actually play a baseball game on the new baseball field there at Frontier in Fairfield coming up this week. I think on Tuesday is the plan right now. So, but nice new facility that they built there, so we'll talk to those guys about that.
Well, it'll always be nice to hear that. That's an up-and-growing college, and, it's going to be a great facility for those young people to play and continue their education over there, so it's always nice to hear about the good things.
Absolutely. You've got some baseball scores from this past week that are on the website that you can pass along to us, Danny.
All right. From yesterday, Collinsville beat Mosquito 4-2. Galatia beat Johnson City 5-4. Greenville over Gillespie 6-2. Highland 16, Mater Dei nothing. Nashville and Centralia. Nashville picks up a big win at Centralia 3-0 yesterday. Triad defeated Westland 9-0. Trico defeats Pinckneyville 5-2. And Valmar over Redbud 8-2. On Wednesday, Anna Jonesboro 10-run ruled Johnson City. Benton 9, Moondeanling 1, Breeze Central 9, Greenville 1, Bethalto 10, Mater Dei nothing, Columbia 6, Marquette 0, DuQuoin beats West Frankfort 10-8, Flora goes to Centralia and wins 6-2, Freeburg beat DuPont 9-3, Galatia 17, Hardin County 7, Goreville 8, Seneca 6, Heron 10, Christopher 3, Highland 6, Caneland 2, Marion 4, Pinckneyville 3, Marissa Coulterville 12, Trenton Westland 5, Muscuda beat Oakville 4-1, Massac County 8, Seneca 3, Nashville defeats Carlisle 14-4.
All right, some baseball scores from this past week, and if you missed any of those, of course, you can go to our sports website, take a look at those scores at AreaSports.net. And speaking of baseball and softball, let's talk to softball coach right now, Marty Slover from the Frontier Community College Bobcats. They've been getting some games in. In fact, they had a doubleheader that they just got in with Kaskaskia, and let's talk to him about that and some other things. Hey, how you doing this morning, Marty?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
Great. Good to have you on the sports couch this morning. Hey, you got a doubleheader in against Kaskaskia. Man, high-scoring game there in Game 1, 19-14. The Kaskaskia women win that one, and then the second game, 9-8. Your Frontier Lady Bobcats bounce back. Boy, there's some offense being played there.
It was like a football score, that first game. And honestly, I think in that game you would think there'd probably be a lot of balls that hit out. I think there was 2 home runs hit in the first game. Kaskaskia hit both of those, and most of the scoring was done from the third inning on, and by both teams. So it was just kind of like 2 prize fighters in a ring, just beating up on each other. 4 runs here, back and forth. Not a lot of errors committed, just a lot of hitting, and it's just an old-fashioned slugfest. Yeah,
I read here in some of the notes that you sent us that you had a 3-run home run by Sephora Kirk, and also a walk-off solo home run the bottom of the 7th by Allison Tullis, and then Haley Settle got the win in that game too.
Yeah, Haley came in, and we threw Sephora in the first game, and she went about 4 innings, and we came back with Mosley because our pitching, you got to really watch that closely in a game like that. We had actually scheduled Taylor to start game 2, but that game was just kind of getting crazy, and we kind of went to Taylor because we, went to her early and pretty much depleted those 2 girls. So Haley really stepped up and did a really good job for us. She stepped in and went the distance to do the complete game, and then we had them down 8-5. They scored 3 runs in the top of the 7th to tie it. And Al came up, the first pitch that she led off the bottom of the 7th, the first pitch that she saw, she hit it out to dead straightaway center field. So pretty exciting win for all of us. Yeah,
that is. And then earlier in the week, you had a doubleheader against Lakeland. Lakeland must be really a high-powered offense because that's the second time they've taken a doubleheader from you. They won 9-0 and 13-4, and then I think the previous week they beat you 8-0 and 10-2, so that must be a heck of a bunch up there at Lakeland, huh?
Yeah, they're ranked, I think, 22nd in the nation. Wabash is 16th, so we've got 2 teams right there in Region 24 and then the GRAC they're ranked. And I would say, I haven't checked the rankings this week, but I would say Logan will probably be ranked because the last time I looked, they were 22-1. So there's 3 teams that are going to be nationally ranked that are right here in Region 24. So it's a very competitive conference and good softball. Lakeland 1 through 9 they hit. They've got a really good pitcher. Her name is Ice Strike. She's from Napa, California, and she's really good. Wabash has got a really good pitcher from Indianapolis, and she throws really, really well. So those 2 teams hooked up earlier last week, and I think they split. I think Wabash won 1-0, and then I think Lakeland beat them in the second game 6-5. But in that game, Wabash was up 5-1, and Lakeland scored 5 runs in the top of the seventh to win that game. So it's that happens, and at this level, hitting seems like it's really contagious.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I see you got a doubleheader split with Lindenwood University. Prior to that, you beat them 6-2, and then lost 11-6. And then prior to that, in that previous week, you got a doubleheader sweep of Swick, winning 11-2 and 6-2. So Danny, I'm sitting here looking at these scores, and I'm thinking, Frontier's program's not been going on very long, and look, he's got these girls playing with just about anybody.
Well, he's got them playing at a very high level. Marty does a great job over there, and that just goes to show what kind of local talent there is around the area when given a chance to perform, that they can compete.
What do you think there about that?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we've got some girls, and early in the year, we got off to a little bit of a slow start and weren't swinging the basket real well. I think I looked at our average. As a team, we were hitting about 220 through our first 4 games. But looking at that, when you broke up with Wabash and John A., those are your first 4 games, you're going to struggle with the basket a little bit. But right now, we're starting to swing the basket a little bit better. The girls are getting more comfortable in where they're at in the order, and things are starting to click a lot better for us.
Well, and don't you think the warmer temperatures, and which it doesn't feel like that out there this morning, but as the sun gets to shining, things get to going better, and everybody gets to hitting the ball a little better, Marty?
Yeah, I think so. I had told the girls that, I said, hey, when it warms up, we're going to take off, and we're going to start swinging the basket better. And we went to Swick, and it was 38 degrees, and we just hit like crazy. And they looked at me and said, "It warmed up, right, Coach?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it warmed up." They're swinging the basket a lot better right now, and actually in the Lakeland game, the second game there in the 4th inning, we were up 3-0 in that game. So we were very, very competitive, in that game. And like I said, we split with Lindenwood, which they've got a great program over there too. They've got some really nice talent, and like I said, anybody that's on our schedule, is anybody can beat anybody on any given day, actually.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is, as you continue to coach and go through the season here, as you're coaching the current team, you're always in the midst of recruiting too, because the recruiting never stops, right?
No, and actually, right before you called this morning, I just got off the phone with a young lady from Naperville, Illinois, that actually did some on a web recruiting site that we have, and she saw us, and she actually reached out and contacted us, and just a really nice looking player that I think's showing some interest there. And then we've signed 7 girls for next year, and we've got about 5 more girls that we're talking to that are making their decision right now. And then our junior class is where we're at with our junior class right now is we've got several nice looking recruits there, and we're even going down and looking at some sophomores right now. So we're starting to get what I call caught up in where we were with recruiting, and people are starting to know a little bit more about us.
Well, that's always a challenge of starting a new program, is getting out there and getting the school promoted and the program promoted. And, you've been pretty fortunate with that, Marty, and hats off to you and your staff, because that's just a great opportunity for that school over there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And like I said, we try to stay around this area as much as you can, because there is a lot of really, really good talent in this area. A lot of times people just don't have they don't have the opportunity to display that a lot because of where we're located. But there is a lot of talent around here.
Oh yeah, you just go and watch some of these high school games and the competitive level of some of these kids, and if they get the opportunity and got somebody there that can teach them a little more about the game and work to refine their skills, they can compete and play at that level.
Oh yeah, and mom and dad like it when they hear that word free education. They like that a lot. So, and you get to play 2 more years of softball too.
Well, they get to play and continue, like you said, they get to continue their education at no cost, but they also get to play a game that these young people have a passion and a love for, and that's always great to see.
Yeah, it is. It takes a lot of time from their schedule, and they have to be committed, because it's like Randy said, it's the recruiting never stops, and so does the training. Off season we condition. We give the girls when our season will be over, they'll get a little bit of time off in the summer. Some of our girls are still young enough that we allow them to play on travel clubs if they wish, just to stay sharp. And then we start our fall season and we play. And then when our fall season's over, we take about a month and a half off just to rest, and then start back up again. And we're able to. And the NCAA lets us start in mid-January, so we start back up with training then and getting ourselves ready to go for the season, because we usually open up the end of February.
Is your team pretty healthy right now, Marty?
We're a little beat up right now. We had a pitcher that had an injury last year that we were kind of counting on. She's I'm actually going to redshirt her. We'll beat up there. I've got one of my first basemen's got some knee issues going on right now. We're kind of being real cautious with her, and my left fielder's got a little tenderness in her knee, but other than that, we're just your usual aches and pains and bumps and bruises and things like that. But we're in pretty good shape.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, good. Well, hey, let's shift gears here with you a little bit because I know you're excited about the start of the Major League Baseball season tomorrow night, as the Cardinals will open up the season at home at Busch Stadium against those defending world champion Chicago Cubs. Man, I can't believe I said that. But
I haven't said it yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess maybe it's my April Fool's joke of the day. I don't know, but yeah, they are the champs right now, the defending champs. So we'll give them their due. But anyway, going to be a great matchup tomorrow night to start the season there at Busch Stadium. And I know you're excited about the Cardinals this year and going into the season. It's always a fun time, and you're a big Cardinal fan like I am. And later on in the show, we're going to have Frank Cusumano of Channel 5 Television St. Louis on the show with us, and he'll give us a little preview as well. But what do you look for as we look at the Cardinals opening up the season?
Pardon me?
I say, what are you most excited about, or what are you intrigued about the most, I guess, with the Cardinals going into the season?
Well, a couple things, actually. I'm really looking to see how Carlos Martinez encompasses that number one starting pitcher position and role. And I think he's going to be okay. And I'm really excited to see how Dexter Fowler and Matt Carpenter, where they hit in the order, and their on-base percentage, the two of the best in the National League, and us driving in runs. That's the second thing. And the third thing that I'm really, really going to be watching closely is a lot fewer swing and miss swings on pitches, because I think last year we just had so many what I call empty outs, where you're not making contact and you're not moving a runner. So I think those are probably the three things that start the season, I think, that I'm going to really, really watch closely. And I think that they're probably pretty key parts of the season. If those things work out well, I think they're going to be pretty good if they stay healthy.
Yeah, staying healthy is the key, and they're starting the season with a couple of guys on the injury list there, on the 10-day disabled list. As you got Rosenthal and also a John Gant, two pitchers that are on the DL to start the season. But hopefully they won't be off very long. But also you got another young guy rising to the occasion and taking advantage of the situation, and Jose Martinez, as he's made the club, first time he's ever made a Major League Baseball club on opening day. And I had a chance to see him down at Jupiter a couple of weeks ago and was very impressed by him, and so I wasn't really surprised that he made the roster. But what a feel-good story it is, the fact that the guy is, 28 years old. He's had 3 knee surgeries, and here he is after toiling in the minor leagues all these years, getting his shot.
Yeah, he's hungry, so he's gonna. This is his shot. I'm not sure. Was he 25? I think.
No, he's 28, almost 29.
Yeah, okay, so he's getting to the point where, he's at that when his window is closing, so this is his opportunity. So that he's going to do everything he possibly can with this opportunity to capitalize, and you like to see that, because he's just going to make the team better. He's going to push others, and when he does get an opportunity, he's going to do everything he can to capitalize on it. So you like to see that. That's a positive thing.
Yeah, and it's also going to be interesting to see what happens with Colton Wong, whether he can straighten things out, on what's going on between his ears. We know he's got the physical ability to play, but boy, can he get through all the mental part of this game.
Yeah, and we talked about that earlier, like last time we talked and stuff. And it's just one of those deals where he's just got a ton of talent. He's just got to put it all together. But I don't know. There's all kinds of rumors about the Cardinals are going to go out and make a trade. His name's being tossed around, and that probably can't help him a whole lot knowing he's looking over his shoulder. He's in a tough spot. He's got a lot of pressure on him, and I just hope that he capitalizes on his ability, because he is a tremendous athlete.
Yeah, and the Cardinals have agreed in principle on a deal with Yadier Molina. I think it's just a matter of them dotting the I's and crossing T's and letting the lawyers finish writing it up. But I look for them to sign that maybe as early as today. It's pretty imminent that it's going to happen. So it's good that Molina's going to finish his career in a Cardinal uniform and ultimately be a Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, he'll be a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt. I mean, he's going to go down as one of the greatest, certainly one of the greatest Cardinals. And when you look at his teams, when the things that really matter as a coach, what he's done and how he handles the pitching staff. When you look at that, I mean, he is definitely a Hall of Famer. There's no question about it. He's just a tremendous leader in the clubhouse and a great person and fiery, and he does what needs to be done in the clubhouse and keeps everyone locked in and focused. And I really hope that when his playing days are over, that the Cardinals are wise and they lock him in on their staff somewhere, because he's too valuable to let go.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Let's shift gears real quick before we let you go. NCAA men's Final Four. We got South Carolina against Gonzaga and Oregon against North Carolina. Are we going to have an all-Carolina final, or what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I told you guys last week. Nobody listened to me. You got to put Carolina in the finals to end down there.
I remember you said that. I remember you said that. Yeah, but so what do you think? How do you like your chances with your North Carolina Tar Heels against Oregon in that semifinal?
Oregon is extremely athletic. I mean, they're very, very good. The big kid they got inside that blocked all the shots, his name slips me right now, but he is just a beast inside. If they can kind of keep him off the offensive glass and get some shots from the perimeter, I think their depth will probably be a big factor in that game. South Carolina and Gonzaga, everybody's picking Gonzaga, but I wouldn't pick them too quickly because South Carolina is very athletic. So you've got some contrasting styles there. The big kid from Gonzaga is going to be a handful for South Carolina, but if they can get up and down the floor with Gonzaga and once again, depth is probably going to be a factor there too. If they can do that, I think you might see an All Carolina final championship.
Well, but let me ask you this: since you're such a North Carolina Tar Heel fan, do you really want to play South Carolina? Because that could be a no-win situation if you play them and then you lose. I mean, that's like the Cardinals and the Cubs, man.
Exactly, and that's the thing. It'd be good for the Carolinas and it'd be good for NCAA basketball, but the Tar Heels would kind of be in a no-win situation there because they're supposed to win and all the pressure is on them. So,
right.
And plus, moving back to the Carolinas, can you imagine what that would be like? So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, but it'd be fun. But I'm just happy that the team that I watch and support and really admire the job that Roy Williams does. I'm just glad that they're able to get there, and that was a tremendous game with them in Kentucky.
Oh yeah,
those two teams there, that could have very easily been a national championship game right there.
Yeah, that was a heavyweight fight for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Marty, we appreciate you joining us this morning on the Sports Couch. Have yourself a great weekend, and good luck to your Tar Heels, and let's hope the Cardinals can take care of the Cubs this weekend too, huh?
Let's hope so. Maybe Sunday night when I'm coming home, we get a Cardinal win, and maybe I get a couple wins down at Shawnee. We're headed down there Sunday, so hopefully it'll be a good Sunday.
Well, good luck to you and your Lady Bobcats there down at Shawnee. All right, thanks. Right. Appreciate it. Take care. All righty.
Good talking to you guys.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That is Marty Slover. He is the head softball coach over at Frontier Community College. We'll talk to baseball coach Hunter Bryan coming up in our 9 o'clock hour, so stay tuned for that. And we will be back with more here on the Sports Couch in just a moment. Stay tuned.
It's the local sports talk show that everyone is talking about. It's the Sports Couch on 90.9 The Vine and AreaSports.net.
Most of us tend to take our printed materials for granted, but it's hard to imagine life today without print. Printing is communicating. Whether it's promotional, operational, or administrative, we're here to meet your printing needs. Peacock Print and Marketing has been serving the people in Southern Illinois since 1977. We're located at 1112 Jordan Street in Mount Vernon. Our phone number is 242-3157. Our website is peacockprinting.com. We believe in honoring God by serving our clients through print and marketing and helping them reach their full potential.
You've heard the old saying, practice makes perfect. Well, there's actually a lot of truth to that, and you can get one-on-one instruction in baseball, softball, basketball, as well as speed and agility drills at the Sports Zone in Fairfield. The Sports Zone has been in business for quite some time now and has helped many area boy and girl athletes excel in their sport of choice. Lessons and practice times are available at convenient times that meet your schedule. The Sports Zone is located on Delaware Street in Fairfield, and we appreciate their support.
Real Life Radio welcomes Mount Vernon's newest family restaurant, The Grill, as an underwriting sponsor. The Grill features a full menu of home-cooked food, delicious homemade desserts, and breakfast served all day. The Grill is located at 424th South 44th Street near the interstate in Mount Vernon, and their phone number is 246-1700. Their hours are 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. The Grill in Mount Vernon, where taste makes the difference.
And welcome back to the Sports Couch here live on a Saturday morning on 105.5 and 90.9 The Vine Radio, and also streaming live worldwide on both of our websites. Live video streaming right now at AreaSports.net and live audio streaming at WVYN.org. I'm Randy Olson live in studio along with Danny Anselment, and we're talking Frontier Bobcats sports this morning. We just had softball coach Marty Slover on with us. Going to shift gears and talk a little Bobcat baseball right now. The head baseball coach of the Bobcats, that's Hunter Bryan, joins us right now. Hunter, how you doing this morning?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Thanks for coming on the Sports Couch with us. Tell us how things are going so far this year with Bobcats baseball.
Well, we started out a little rough. We're on a rough patch right now, but we're looking forward to these games coming up. We've been on the road this whole time, and then Tuesday we finally get to come back home and actually get to play on our field, and I think the kids are looking forward to that. We've been on the road this whole time, and so for that, that's hard on the kids and it's hard on me. So getting those guys ready to go for this weekend and next week's going to be very crucial for us.
Well, I know that you and a lot of other people have been out there working on that field too, and it's been neat to watch the progress of how that's developing, trying to get that brand new field ready there at Frontier Community College. It's going to be a fantastic complex, one of the nicest fields around, and it's really taken shape, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be one of the nicest fields around. Plus, we have lights. I believe that we're the only team in Region 24 that has lights.
Wow!
So we'll be able to actually host night games and whatnot, and so we'll be able to host a lot of region stuff too, just for the fact that we do have lights. So we're looking forward to that, and we're looking forward to bringing more people into our community.
Yeah. Now, right now, where they're behind the backstop there, where they're putting that in at, they're building. Is that a concession stand area that's being built right now?
Yes, sir. That is a concession stand.
All right, cool. Is there going to be a broadcast booth in that thing, too?
Yeah, I think there is actually going to be a broadcast area
Yep.
along with storage booths and whatnot. So, yeah, there's going to be plenty of room up there.
Excellent. So maybe we can squeeze in there and do some Bobcat games from there. That would be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, hey, I think you probably got your roster in front of you maybe, that you can maybe run through your team, perhaps position by position, and those people listening right now that may not be familiar with your team and your players and where they're from and that sort of thing, if you want to run through those guys with us, that'd be great.
Okay, yeah. To start off with, we have Trey Woosley. We recruited him out of high school. He went to actually Lincoln Trail first, transferred to me in the spring. Came in. He was doing well for us. Got a starting spot. Unfortunately, he's going to have Tommy John in red shirt though this year. So that's a bummer because he's one of my best kids and a leader on the field as long as with the bat. Justin Johnson's a third baseman, shortstop. He's very good with the gloves. Got great speed. He's from Elmwood, Georgia. I got Isaac Johnson from Harrison. He is actually a walk-on kid in the fall. He earned a starting spot this spring and earned himself a scholarship. He's from Harrison, Evansville, Indiana, and he's actually leading our team right now in average. So he's been a good addition for us. Brian Camacho, he throws hard. He's 88 to 91. He's from Puerto Rico. I got John Carlos Matos Rodriguez. He's a shortstop. He's really good with the glove, fast. He hits for power as well a little bit, and he's a little guy. So he's from Puerto Rico as well. I have Ryan Gauger. He's a freshman from Madisonville, Kentucky. He's a utility player. Chris Ishison is from Waterloo, Ontario. So we have a couple Canadians on board as well, and he's my 3-hole hitter. I have number 11, Stanton Hathaway. He's from El Dorado, Illinois, and he plays a little bit of first base. He's going to pitch for us as well. Jacob Ryder's from Sisseton, a local boy. He has a little bit of pop, and he's mostly our DH and our backup catcher. Then we got Seth Cummings, who comes in, left-handed pitcher who's been coming in for us out of the bullpen, but also making some spot starts for us as well. He's from Marion County, Kentucky. And then you also have Lawson Clayton from Kentucky as well. He's our starting catcher. He's really good. He has 2 home runs on the season. He's hitting well. But more importantly, his catching ability and his defense is what we look for and value in him. Ho Chi Minh Hernandez is our closer. He has good off-speed stuff, and he's got a good fastball, live fastball as well. Then we have Travis Stewart. He's a walk-on kid, plays outfield. We have Brandon Clevenger, homeboy from Fairfield, Illinois. He comes in out of the bullpen a lot in crucial situations late in the game. If we need one batter out, he comes in and does that for us. Then we have Jensen Lugo. He's a third baseman. He's from Puerto Rico as well. I got Brady Schnarr, who's my ace, who will get the ball game 2 today down at SIC. He's my ace, and he does a fabulous job for us. He throws around 85 to 88, and he spots up with all of his pitches. Then we got Bo Robinson, who's my center fielder. He's a great athlete, probably the most athletic kid on the team. And then we have Kenneth Otero, who is an outfielder, who's my 4-hole hitter as well, and he pitches as well. He's going to get the ball game 1 today at SIC. Gabriel Morales, he comes out of the pen, makes some spot starts. They're both from Puerto Rico. And then we have Ryan Millsap, who actually is a sophomore, who came to a walk-on tryout. We ended up giving him a scholarship and whatnot. He's actually was my 3-hole hitter before he got hurt. He dislocated his ankle. And so that cost us a little bit, but we're looking forward to having him back because he's going to redshirt too. Then we got Chase Sutton from North City. He's a middle infield guy. And then we have Matt Stevenson from Albin, Illinois. He's a left-handed pitcher, and he comes out. He's a soft-throwing lefty. He's a specialist at that. And so we get him in there with, a guy that we need out, and he does that job for us.
Well, it sounds like you got a very well-rounded team there. You're strong in several places, sound like, and Bobcat baseball should be up on the up and coming.
Yeah, we're looking to build we won Tuesday, so we're hoping to build on that. We've had a rough start, but with a brand new program, it's hard to do. But I've coached under Justin Townsend, and I've coached under Jeremy Ellis, and I played for Marty Slover. So I'm still in the learning process stages, but I got those 2 guys to go ask questions to about some coaching advice, and then also how to interact with my players a little bit better. And so I have good role models to go to get those answers.
Well, you being a young coach, I'm sure one of the biggest challenges is recruiting in college baseball.
Yeah, recruiting is definitely tough, especially since right now I'm the only coach on staff, but I have an assistant who travels about an hour and a half throughout the week. He travels down here throughout the week. He's from Mattoon. His name's Dylan Reel. He actually helps me out a lot through the recruiting process. He gets me a lot of players. But I think last Sunday we actually had 2 kids from Alabama come up, throw for us. They're good pitchers, and they're gonna, if we can get those 2 guys to sign, they're gonna be great for our program.
Well, you got to be excited about getting to open this new field on Tuesday, weather permitting and stuff. So I'm sure your team is really excited about getting the opportunity to come back home to Fairfield and play some baseball. Oh,
absolutely. They're tired of the 1 a.m. Getting back home and getting their homework done. So they're excited to get that field done while we can get on it and play. We've been practicing on it the last 2 weeks or so, but once we finally get it done and finished, it's going to be a nice product.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your playing days, because after you finished up at Fairfield, you went and played baseball over at Greenville College, and talk about those playing days.
Yeah, I went to Greenville College. I played all 4 years there. I actually thought about transferring my sophomore year, but just for the fact of I was wanting to go a different direction in education and whatnot. But after I thought about it a little bit and I gave it another shot, I really ended up loving Greenville. Coach Carlson's over there's got a great program, and I look forward to what he does in the future. But playing days there, it was good. Played a lot of games and whatnot. But not only did we play a lot of baseball, but we learned a lot of life lessons. That's what I'm trying to do here at Frontier. Bring that type of culture over here to Frontier and make these kids not only good at baseball, but also help these guys become better men out in the community and better people.
Well, you mentioned some of the role models that you had too. And of course, you played football here in Fairfield for Justin Townsend, and you were part of that huge line that you guys had back in the day. I think you graduated in 2010? Is that about right?
Yeah, 2010 is when I graduated. In that 09 year, my junior year, that was the line that was pretty big. We had Brandon Lee, Gabe Potter, me, Caleb Smith, Sean Odie. That was a pretty big line.
That was a huge line. It really was. And you guys could lift a lot of weight too, as a matter of fact.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So do you still do any of that weightlifting stuff?
Yeah, I try to do a little bit of it here and there, but I don't get to it as much as I wish I could. But yeah, it's definitely a part of my everyday routine.
Mm-hmm. Okay. As far as professional baseball, are you a Cardinal fan or Cub fan?
Oh, I'm a Cardinal fan, diehard Cardinal
There
fan.
you go. All right. Well, you got to be excited about the start of the season, and that's going to begin tomorrow night over at Busch Stadium against the Cubs, and it's going to be fun to watch and see what happens this year, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to see with all the new additions and whatnot, and then seeing Carlos Martinez in that starting role, see how he can handle that as a young guy and whatnot, and see what the Cardinals can do, because it's going to be a fun year for those guys, I got a feeling.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned a couple of guys on your roster, from Puerto Rico. Talk about the difficulty and the challenges of dealing with somebody that's not only from another country, but somebody that, can also speak additional languages too, and some of the barrier there that goes with trying to coach someone like that.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to do sometimes. Most of these kids do know English. They actually do take English classes in Puerto Rico at school, but they teach them in Spanish. So they teach the English classes in Spanish. So it's kind of hard to do every once in a while, but most of the time, you just have to talk pretty slow and then just let them know what you mean by certain words and whatnot. But if you can't relay the message, then you can tell one of the other Puerto Rican kids, basically a translator, tell them what you mean, and then they'll explain it in Spanish a little bit better. So it is kind of difficult to do, but then again, they love the game of baseball, and that's why they're here, and they're here to get an education and play baseball. And so the barrier is difficult to do, but then again, I have other people to lean on to be able to say, hey, can you please relay this to John Carlos or Gabriel Morales, who those two kids probably have a little bit more difficult time of understanding English than some of the other Puerto Rican kids.
Well, they were probably following Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic too, weren't they?
Oh, you want to talk about? They were all over that. They were in the group. We have a group chat, and all you could hear, I wouldn't even start it. They would be Puerto Rico. I mean, it was a neat experience for me as well.
Well, I'm sure they're Yadier Molina fans then, probably too. Huh?
Oh yeah, they ended up all doing the dyeing their hair blonde or gray thing. So that's the thing that's the trend that's going around Puerto Rico during the World Baseball Classic. So they thought they had to partake.
That's hilarious. All right. Well, Hunter, hey, thanks so much for joining us here this morning on the Sports Couch, and best of luck as you move forward here with baseball, the Frontier Bobcats, and let's hope that weather holds this week so you can have that home opener and get things christened and going at the new beautiful baseball park there at Frontier in Fairfield, okay?
Yeah, thank you, Randy.
All right, take care now. Marty, bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
That's Hunter Bryan. He is the head baseball coach of the Frontier Bobcats. And I'll tell you what, if people haven't driven by to take a look at that new facility yet, Danny, they need to do that because it is going to be one of the nicest baseball fields around for community college and one of the very few, and I think he said maybe the only one in that region that has lights.
Yeah, that's what he said, the only one in the region that would be able to host night events, and what a special deal that is.
Yeah, that will be, and I have a feeling it'll be used not only by the college, but you may see some special events take place there maybe from some high schools or something that use the field particularly for some night games where they can't maybe do it other places. So.
Well, like today over at Rend Lake College, Benton High School is hosting the RBI Classic, they call it, Ranger Baseball Invitational, and those games are being played at Rend Lake College today, and it gives those kids an opportunity to play on a college field.
That's
and,
cool.
They were pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's great. All right, well, we're glad you had a chance to join us this morning. Coming up next, we're going to talk to the sports director of KSDK-TV Channel 5. That's Frank Cusumano. Boy, we'll have a lot of things to talk to Frank about. That's coming up next, right after station identification and a word from some of our underwriting sponsors. Stay tuned.
It's the local sports talk show that everyone is talking about. It's the Sports Couch on 90.9 The Vine and AreaSports.net.
This is your station for the Casting Crowns concert on Good Friday, April 14th at the SIU Arena in Carbondale. This is WVYN, Blueford, Wayne City, Fairfield, McLeansboro, and Mount Vernon.
And now on Translator, W288CO Centralia, broadcasting at 105.5.
A service of Real Life Radio Foundation.
The best Christian music. 90.9 The Vine.
People's National Bank now has two great CD specials for you. A 24-month CD at 1.20% APY and a 48-month CD at 1.55% APY. Stop by any People's National Bank location and open a 24-month CD at 1.20% APY or a 48-month CD at 1.55% APY today. People's National Bank, member FDIC, annual percentage yield accurate as of March 7, 2017. $500 to open and obtain APY.
Underwriting on the Vine is provided by B&C Bicycle Fitness in Mount Vernon. B&C Bicycle Fitness specializes in bikes for the beginning rider to the high-end racer and can equip you with a comfortable bike to enjoy a healthy, active lifestyle with family and friends. B&C Bicycle Fitness is a full-service bicycle shop and is located at 410 South 27th Street in Mount Vernon. Their phone number is 816-4077. B&C Bicycle Fitness in Mount Vernon, where the adventure begins.
This is Lori at Barbie's Woodworks in Fairfield. We've been serving our customers with quality custom cabinets and furniture. We offer American-made cabinets with American-made products. Barbie's also offer DuPont Corian, Zodiac, and Granite for your kitchen and bath. Hardwood flooring, trim doors, and windows are also available for your home improvement needs. Our showroom is located at 307 Highland Avenue in Fairfield. Our phone number is 842-4014.
We appreciate the generosity of Barbie Woodworks in Fairfield. Hey, welcome back to the Sports Couch. You're live on a Saturday morning on 105.5 and 90.9 The Vine Radio, and also streaming live worldwide at both of our websites. Live video streaming right now at AreaSports.net, live audio streaming at WVYN.org. I'm Randy Olson, live in studio, along with Danny Anselment. Trying to make connection right now with Frank Cusumano, sports director of KSDK-TV Channel 5. I'm sure Frank's got a lot of people that he's talking to about a variety of things as they get ready for the baseball opener tomorrow night at Busch Stadium against the Cubs. We'll connect with Frank here in just a moment. But what an intriguing matchup it's going to be. You got the Cubs as the world champions coming in there at Busch Stadium, trying to flex their muscle and live up to the hype of being the world champions and coming into St. Louis. And you got the Cardinals, with a team that's been retooled a little bit. And you got a new guy on the mound as far as the opening day starter, and Carlos Martinez, and he's going to try to show that he's the man.
You got one of the young guns coming up to take over for this Cardinal staff, so it's going to be interesting to see how he performs and does under the pressure of big opening night festivities there. Not only all the festivities that surround that game, but taking on the World Series Chicago Cubs, world champions. You always want to get off on a great start, and it'll be interesting to see how the young gun handles that for the St. Louis Cardinals, Randy.
Well, it really will be, and let's bring in Frank Cusumano right now, sports director of KSDK-TV Channel 5. We'll get his insight on this Cardinal Cub opener. Frank, how are you this morning?
Randy and Danny, great to be with you. Hope you're having a great morning in beautiful Mount Vernon, Illinois, where I have many cousins living there.
Yeah, we know that you do, and I hope that they're listening right now. We appreciate you joining us this morning. And first of all, let me say congratulations to you for being elevated as the sports director of KSDK-TV Channel 5, and you've worked hard for that, and congratulations to you.
Well, I appreciate that. It all goes to show that if you give enough free food from Kemal's Restaurant, my family's business, to key Channel 5 employees, eventually you'll be promoted.
That's how it works.
Hey,
huh?
they always said a way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Yeah, absolutely right.
I love that. I love that. Well, let's talk about the Cardinals and the Cubs matchup on Sunday night. I know you spent some time down at Jupiter, Florida, watching the Cardinals during spring training, and you've got to be excited about what you see going into the season, and how do you feel right now about how things are going?
Well, they had a tremendous spring training. Now, I realize that a spring training win and $1 will buy you a Diet Coke, but it's better to win 20 like they did than lose 20.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a tremendous camp. The emergence and the arrival of Dexter Fowler, not only gives you that great OVP at the top, but he just changes the chemistry of the clubhouse. And this guy is just as nice a guy as you'll meet in Major League Baseball, and he's very inclusive. I mean, for his birthday, he took the entire team to a Miami Heat game, and he paid for everything. So that's the kind of guy he is. Couldn't be more humble, couldn't be more outgoing. He's just a wonderful guy. And, when you have a guy who could have a 400 on-base percentage, at the top of your lineup, it really does change everything, because you go Diaz 2, Carpenter 3. You got some on-base machines there to begin a game.
Well, one of the key is you got to get people on base to score runs, and looks like the Cardinals are going to have a great opportunity with that, Frank.
They really will, and then it's going to be up to the guys to bring them home. Now, Stephen Piscotty had a very mediocre camp, but he also is coming off a 22-85 RBI season, so that's pretty impressive. I think Johnny Peralta is going to start the season batting fourth, and he's healthy. And you got to remember, despite what happened last year, Johnny Peralta is a 3-time All-Star, and he's also in the walk year of a contract. If that's not an incentive, or if that's not conducive for a good season, I don't know what is. You have Yadier Molina, who could hit as high as fifth, coming off a terrific season, a great World Baseball Classic. The key is going to be Grichuk, I think. He hit 24 home runs, being sent down to the minor leagues twice. I hope they just leave him alone and then check in at the end of the season after 550 at-bats and see if he doesn't have 30 home runs.
Well, what about the Colton Wong situation? Here's a guy that's got great talent. Looks like he's a great fielder. He's having a terrible time hitting the baseball, and then he has this meltdown when it comes to, hey, we might have to platoon this position some because this guy can't hit. My take on it, Frank, was he felt he was entitled to this, and my stance is, hey, you still got to perform.
Yeah, I think when Mike Matheny mentioned the word platoon the other day, and then they brought that word to Wong, he did not respond well. And if I'm going to be a platoon player, then I'd rather be traded. I mean, he just can't say things like that, especially when you have a guy who's behind him, who's coming off a 30-home run season in Jed Jerko, especially when you have another guy behind him, Greg Garcia, who's one of the best offensive players in camp. I mean, they got options. Now, I think they're going to give him a legitimate shot because, the entire offseason, that's all John Mozeliak stressed was becoming more athletic, becoming more defensive-oriented, especially with some ground ball starting pitchers. But I don't think the leash is as long as it was, let's say, a month ago.
Let's talk about some of the surprises coming out of spring training. How about the emergence of Jose Martinez finally getting his shot on an opening day Major League roster? Boy, he hit the cover off the ball down at Jupiter, and it's kind of a neat feel-good story. Here's a guy that's 28, almost 29 years old. He's had 3 knee surgeries, and he's finally getting a shot, Frank.
Yeah, after 10 years in the minor leagues, after 3,200 at-bats. He got a cup of coffee last year at the end and hit really well. And then he just came in and beat out Tommy Pham. He also is a guy who can play first base in a pinch. So if you want to, have that right-handed hitting first baseman, you can do that. He really is an unbelievable story. He said the first person he was going to call when he made the team was his mom in Venezuela. She was the one. He told me last Thursday that he had his bags packed, that he was going to quit. And his mom said, "No, you're not."
Wow, that's a great story. And what do you think about the situation with Rosenthal and how the Cardinals are going to use him? I know he's starting the season on the 10-day DL, but they tried him in a couple of different roles down there at Jupiter. He started a game or two, and he did some long relief and some closing. But where do you think he's going to fit in the mix this year on that pitching staff?
Well, I think they'd love to have him in that, that Trevor Miller. Is it Trevor Miller? Wait a minute. In Cleveland?
Yeah, I know who you mean. Yeah, the long reliever. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, in that role, that hybrid role where you could come in and get a guy out in the seventh, or you could come into the sixth and pitch 3 innings. I think that's what they want to do. I'm not sure how it's going to work out. He's got to get healthy first. But I think he can be a weapon. There's some doubters about this guy, but I'm a Trevor Rosenthal fan. I mean, we are talking about a guy who had, the most saves over a 2-year period as anybody in the National League. He's only 26. He still touches 100. Mm-hmm. He's just got to get healthy. And if he's healthy, that bullpen is going to be scary because you love Sechrist and Brett Cecil from the left side. Broxton's, he'll be fine in his role, which is not a huge role. I mean, that bullpen has a chance to really be special with O, of course, closing out games.
Yeah, O looked impressive in the short time he was there. Of course, he had a lot of time in that World Baseball Classic, so we didn't see much of him down at Jupiter. But you think that Broxton's going to be the 8th inning guy then before O, or what?
Well, I guess it depends on matchups. I think, they love Sechrist and they love, they love Sechrist and they love Cecil, depending on if there's left-handed hitters.
Right.
They'd love to see Trevor in the 8th inning role. He's just not going to be able to do it right now. And Sokolovich is another guy who has a really good arm, and he's really never gotten a chance, but when he does come up, he's been incredibly effective. So I wouldn't be surprised if he plays a large role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Looks like they've got things done, at least in principle, with the Yadier Molina to wrap him up in a Cardinal uniform on a 3-year extension where he'll eventually retire as a Cardinal, and certainly going to be a Hall of Famer. And I hope that after his playing days are done, I hope that they find a place to utilize him and his talents beyond the playing field as some kind of instructor or coach.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an intriguing contract scenario with Molina. I mean, granted, if it's 4 years from now and he's like 38 or 39, and you're paying him like $20 million, you're probably not getting a lot of bang for your buck. But here's the thought you got to think about: is they have some very talented, like AA pitchers right now who are going to be here shortly. It would be great is when they get to the big leagues that they have a chance to work with Yadier Molina, because we know about his clutch hitting and his arm, but his ability to work with pitchers and get them through a game is just as good as anybody in baseball. I'm not saying that Yadier Molina is a really outgoing, effervescent guy, especially with the media. Not a bad guy, but he just doesn't say much. But I'm telling you, he is one of the great teammates I've ever been around. If you want Yadier Molina to open up and talk, you ask him about somebody else. If you want him to talk about himself, he kind of clams up. He's just unbelievable with nurturing, a young pitching staff. And, here's the way I look at it, Danny, is who cares if the DeWitt great-grandchildren have a few less $1 million in their trust funds, okay? I'd rather give it to Yadier Molina.
Well, Frank, I have to agree with you. I thought it was the point of the Cardinal organization. You can only be the bridesmaid and the runner-up so much. This was a deal that sometimes you got to do things to keep Cardinal Nation supporting what you got over there, and I just think it would have been a terrible move not to get this done.
Yeah, and Carson Kelly is not ready.
No.
I mean, there was some talk, well, why don't we trade Molina now? No, Carson Kelly is not ready, and who knows? I mean, guys sometimes don't work out. Sometimes guys are just great minor league players. I don't think so. I think he'll be fine eventually. But what's the big deal if he doesn't get the job till he's 27?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Hey, somebody else that emerged pretty good for the Cardinals down at spring training that I think is going to help us in the future after he gets off the DL is John Gant, somewhere in that pitching staff. Not only as a pitcher, but I saw that guy hit down at Jupiter as well. That guy can swing the stick.
Yeah, he's a good-looking athlete, no doubt about it. In fact, here's what I think. The one dent in the Cardinals' armor as I look at this roster, and I look at their Memphis roster, is they don't have a sixth starting pitcher. Gonzalez is not ready. Lyons is not ready. Luke Weaver is not ready. Gant is the guy, before he got hurt, who I thought has the best chance of coming up and being an effective starting pitcher in the big leagues right now. You got to remember, you have Lance Lynn coming off Tommy John. You have Waka with that strange scapular injury. Wainwright is getting older. Leak was ineffective last year most of the time. So you're going to need, there's no chance that this five are all going to get 30 starts. You're going to need a sixth starter, and your guy may be the guy.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I really do. Eric Fryer going to start as a backup catcher for the Cardinals this year, and, you know, it's good to have him back on the team because when he was with us before, I thought he did a nice job.
Oh, yeah, he was off the charts offensively. I mean, it was almost like that Keith McDonald, that catcher they brought up that was smoking hot for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was great. So, yeah, they're fine. They're absolutely fine in the backup catcher spot.
Yeah. Well, so now how do you think the Cardinals are going to compare head-to-head with the Cubs? You know, they've got just about everybody back. They've tweaked a few things. How do you see the division race?
Well, my theory is it's alternative programming, okay? There's no way in the world you can out-hit them. Not with Schwarber, Rizzo, and Bryan. You just can't. The way you beat them is to out-pitch them. And here's the scenario where you out-pitch them. Is what we've seen from Michael Wacha in the spring is the NLCS MVP, is the 17-game winner, is the All-Star. You know, this guy looks like a number one starter right now. We know Carlos Martinez is a number one starter right now. We know Lance Lynn is a guy in the walk year of a contract who, when right, just wins games. And I believe from the bottom of my heart that Adam Wainwright and Mike Leake, coming off the worst ERA seasons of their careers, will be better in 2017 than they were in 2016. So does that Cub pitching staff get old? When does John Lackey's arm fall off? When does Jake Arrieta get his Tommy John? When does John Lester get old? I'm not saying they're going to beat the Cubs, but the scenario is alternative programming. You outpitch them.
Well, I think you're right, Frank. I think if you look at the Cubs roster overall, you know, their core players are that great group of young players they got, and they're going to perform, and they're going to be nasty night in, night out. And I think it's going to come down to the pitching, and good pitching always beats good hitting.
Yeah. The thing Chicago has, though, is that trio of Rizzo and Bryan and Schwarber. I mean, if you put together a list of the top maybe 6 offensive players in baseball in the National League at the end of this season, you factor in everything, you know, on-base percentage, slugging, batting average, RBIs, home runs, I'm not so certain that these 3 wouldn't be in the top 6.
Yeah, they very well could be. Yep. As far as the rest of the National League, who do you see as teams that will be there in the end?
Well, here's the scary thing for the Cardinals, because I think the Dodgers and the Giants are really good. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of those teams, you know, gets a wild card. And then you have that Met pitching staff, and, of course, you know, the Nationals one year are going to put it all together. So I do think this Cardinal team is slightly improved. I do think there's a decent chance, you know, they can win 88 to, 90 games. But they're going to have to, because that final wild card spot is going to be a battle.
Yeah, it really will be. Well, hey, let's shift gears real quick before we let you go. I want to give you a chance to weigh in on the Final Four being played today and tonight. South Carolina against Gonzaga and Oregon against North Carolina. What do you think?
Well, I think an overall view is this, is we're in this era of one and done. You recruit these McDonald's All-Americans, you have them for 1 year, and they move on, and that's the way to do it. Well, Kentucky's not there. Duke is not there. UCLA is not there. What is there is a North Carolina team loaded with juniors and seniors. Likewise for Gonzaga. Likewise for South Carolina. I mean, I think it's a great – I'd love to see this. I mean, I want to see more of these junior, senior-oriented teams, you know, make great runs. And when you look at North Carolina, they're a miraculous shot away from winning the national championship last year. They're really talented. They're all juniors and seniors. I think Roy Williams is going to win his third national championship on Monday night.
Is he going to have to play South Carolina to do it?
I kind of would like to see it. I'd love to see Frank Martin. Frank Martin is one of these coaches that's like part WWE, part football coach, and part basketball coach.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me at all. They got that mojo working.
Yeah, they really do. Well, there's certainly some buzz going on there in your neck of the woods about the Missouri Tigers, and Conzo Martin come over as a head coach, and then they've got arguably the best recruit in the country going to be in a Tiger uniform next year along with his dad. Tell us about that.
Well, I've spent a lot of time with Conzo this last week. He came to our studio twice, and I've known him since he was a high school basketball star at Lincoln. We followed him at Purdue. We even did stories on him when he was in the CBA with Grand Rapids. He's one of the most impressive human beings you'll ever meet in sports. He's not flashy. He's not going to win the press conference. But, boy, I tell you, when he walks into a recruit's home and meets the mom, meets the dad, they know they're meeting a first-class human being. And as in terms of Michael Porter, I'm wondering if this is not one of the most important recruits in the history of that athletic department, even though he's only going to be there for 1 year. But hear me out here. I think they're going to end up with another great player. I mean, he did a lot of recruiting at the McDonald's All-American game, and they're getting a visit out of this great player, Knox, this week. So I think he's going to help immediately this year, okay? But here's the other thing is, in St. Louis, we have 7 great football players. I mean, great football players. We're going to have them in our studio on Thursday night at Channel 5. And next year, when they make their visit to Columbia, instead of walking into a half-empty gym watching a lousy basketball team on their visit, they'll walk into a sold-out Mizzou Sports Arena watching the best high school basketball player in America and having the crowds chanting at them as they walk in, M-I-Z-Z-O-U. I mean, he's going to have a huge impact.
Wow, that's a good way to look at it. Great perspective. Yeah, I think you're right. He will have quite an impact.
You know, and I seen an article this week where this young man said he may not be one and done.
You know, he says that, but then that season ends and they tell you you are the first pick in the draft. It would shock me. Now, the only thing the Cardinals would have going for them, the Tigers, would be the fact that John Tay, his 6'10" brother, would want to play a year with him. And by the way, there's talk that John Tay is going to skip his senior year of high school, get his GED, and then play with Michael. But I talked to a member or somebody really close to the program the other day, and he says it's 60-40 that John Tay goes for his senior year of high school.
Oh, okay. All right, interesting. I know you're a big soccer fan. There's a huge election coming up in St. Louis next week that could impact whether or not there's a new soccer stadium built and a professional soccer team brought to St. Louis. Give us your thoughts on all of that.
Well, it's amazing. By Tuesday night at 11 o'clock, when we know the results of this, we're going to know whether we are going to be an MLS team, an MLS city, or we're never going to have soccer again, because there is no plan B. This is it, the vote. And it's only going to be decided because it's a low voter turnout in April in the city by about 25,000 people. To me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I mean, we have 24 acres of unused and unproductive land right by Union Station in St. Louis. With a vote yes on Propositions 1 and 2, that'll turn into a state-of-the-art, vibrant, 20,000-seat stadium that will not only house the MLS. The other day they revealed a women's team could come. They'll house small college NCAA championships, lacrosse championships, concerts, and it's not going to cost the city any money. The money that'll be coming in from the business use tax and from the sales tax on the ticket will outweigh the money the city's going to be giving for this stadium. So it's a no-brainer. I hope we don't blow it. It's really dramatic. It's really suspenseful, but it all comes down to a Tuesday vote.
Well, Frank, like you just alluded to, the off-spin of that proposed stadium and stuff there is just astronomical.
Wait a minute. What do you mean by that? I'm sorry.
Well, all the things, we're going to vote maybe for this soccer stadium, but all the other things that's going to be associated with this stadium, all the other venues, this is going to be a year-round facility. It's just not going to be for one soccer season.
Very beneficial, yeah.
And it looks to me like it's just nothing but pure beneficial for the city of St. Louis.
Yeah, absolutely. And the people that are voting against it, they're saying, well, we got to put more money into our police force. Well, yesterday the St. Louis Police Association came out and endorsed the stadium being built. It's not like you're going to you're hurting schools or decreasing police officers. The money being generated to pay for this stadium comes from, the ticket tax for the people going to the game. So it really is a no-brainer.
That's great. Well, Frank, we appreciate all the information you shared with us this morning. Great to get your insight, and again, you do a wonderful job. We love watching you there on KSDK-TV Channel 5, and appreciate your time with us this morning on the Sports Couch, all right?
Randy and Danny, great to be with you. Thank you so much.
All right, go Cardinals.
All right, take care.
Take care already. Bye-bye. That's Frank Cusumano, Sports Director at KSDK-TV Channel 5. Some very interesting and intriguing insight that he gives us there on the Cardinal situation, the Final Four situation, the deal at Mizzou with the Tigers, and the soccer stadium situation.
That's just a guy that has a lot of knowledge, Randy, and it's just so great to be able to talk with people like that, bring a big town perspective out here to the rural Southern Illinois community, and I'm really glad that you've been able to open that door.
Well, it is neat because he's got his ear to the ground there, and he's talking to all these guys, all the time, and so he's able to give us a perspective that here on the outside over in Southern Illinois, we're not able to.
We're not privy to.
We're not privy to, on the outside looking in. But we appreciate Frank joining us from time to time here on the Sports Couch, and he really gives us some great insight. I hadn't even thought about that perspective of what he said, of the fact that you bring those football recruits in for Missouri to a basketball game and the gym's half empty, and now it's going to be absolutely packed because you're going to have the number one player in the country there. That's a very interesting perspective, and I hadn't thought of it that way, but that's pretty important.
All those things are such major factors into what's going on in every program. Each program has to have a good feed off the other ones.
Yeah.
Success breeds success. Winning
absolutely.
breeds winning.
Yeah, it sure does.
And I think it's a great hire by Missouri. Frank said he's known this young man for a long time.
Yeah, he's known Conzo Martin since he played at East St. Louis Lincoln. So that goes way, way back there. And so he's got a good relationship with him. And so, he can be quite direct with him when he talks to him. And so it sounds like they've got a great relationship. And so that's neat.
Well, he was in the studio this week on Thursday night, he said. So, that tells you right there. I'm sure he just don't walk into everybody's studio and sit down and have a conversation.
No, I'm sure that's the case. Hey, when we come back, we're going to do a wrap-up of the high school basketball season, kind of reflect back on things, and we're going to have a great conversation with Jack Bullock. He, of course, is the webmaster and developer of A Baseline View. That's an excellent website here in Southern Illinois devoted to Class 1A and 2A basketball. We'll join Jack coming up next. Stay tuned.
It's the local sports talk show that everyone is talking about. It's the Sports Couch on 90.9 The Vine and AreaSports.net.
Amy's Sweet Gallery in downtown Fairfield serves top-of-the-line cookies, cupcakes, cakes, rolls, and more delicious home-baked goodies for your family, church, business, wedding, holidays, birthdays, you name it. Amy's Sweet Gallery uses third-generation secret family recipes with a hint of love in every bite. Amy's Sweet Gallery is located at 108 East Main in Fairfield, and their phone number is 842-3754, and their website is amysweetgallery.com. A scoop, a pinch, a dash, and a drop. Homemade goodness with just one stop. Amy's Sweet Gallery in Fairfield.
105.5 and 90.9 The Vine thanks Wibbles Repair and Sales in McLeansboro for their monthly underwriting support of local Christian radio. They repair small engines and ag equipment, and they sell small engine parts, including oil filters and belts. They have agriculture aftermarket parts, interstate batteries, big truck parts, and truck lighting. As Steel and Husqvarna dealers, they offer a wide variety of chainsaws, trimmers, and cut-off saws. Whipple's Repair and Sales in McLeansboro. Their phone number, 618-648-2227. Open Monday through Friday, Saturdays till noon.
Support for the Vine Radio Ministry is provided by Quinn Law and Mediation, LLC in Mount Vernon. When faced with a legal problem, you may try to navigate your way through the courts and all that paperwork on your own, only to discover that the legal arena is a lot more complex and involved than you expected. Every attorney at Quinn Law and Mediation, LLC in Mount Vernon has at least 15 years of experience, providing a variety of legal services to the entire Vine listening area. They are committed to helping clients find practical solutions to current legal problems. You can reach them at 242-9580 or visit their website at mountVernonLawyer.us. And welcome back to the Sports Couch here live on a Saturday morning on 105.5 and 90.9 The Vine Radio, and also streaming live worldwide on both of our websites. Live video streaming right now at AreaSports.net and live audio streaming at WVYN.org. I'm Randy Olson live in studio along with Danny Anselment. Danny, we've had quite a high school basketball season. A lot of highlights and things that you can talk about, and my goodness, I think one of the best people to bring in to talk about that is somebody who has seen a lot of basketball, and that would be Jack Bullock of A Baseline View. And so Jack agreed to join us this morning. Let's bring him in the show right now. Good morning, Jack. How are you?
I'm fine, Todd. How are you today?
Great. Good to have you on the Sports Couch. Wow, what a basketball season it was again this year. And you do a wonderful job in covering Class 1A and 2A basketball. And I know it had to be an exciting season for you. And you take a look at some of the local teams that did well. You know, the Oakville Rockets going to the championship game in 1A. And, you know, you had Effingham St. Anthony up there in 2A. Just a lot of neat things.
Well, and they were my they were ranked 1 and 2 for basically the second half of the season in my 1A rankings, Oakville and Effingham St. Anthony. I saw St. Anthony play back in December at the Vandalia Holiday Tournament, and they were impressive. They had, they go 6-7 deep. Had a kid named Drew Gibson that I saw back in December that I knew was going to be very good. I kind of got a preview of what they were going to be this year from last year. They were the team that got to the sectional final last year at Red Hill and got beat by Patoka. Patoka ended up going to SIU Arena and losing to Woodlawn, and Woodlawn went on to state.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, they were basically a better team. They shot the ball better this year. A lot of people in Southern Illinois didn't get to see the real Effingham St. Anthony. When they got down to the SIU Arena this year and played Woodlawn, they didn't play very well.
Right.
And they were on a bad streak. They ended the regular season. They lost 4 out of their last 6 games after being 22-1. They hit a tough part of their schedule where they lost to 3 3A teams and a 2A team.
Well,
so they kind of backed into the postseason. They were in a really, really, really weak regional up there at North Clay. No offense to those schools, but I mean they probably could have sent their JV team there and probably won that regional. And then they had a little bit of a tough time with nemesis Altamont in the sectional, and then they got revenge against Patoka and beat Patoka in the sectional final. And when they got down to SIU Arena, and I talked to Coach Cody Rinker about this, they kind of had that whole deer in the headlights thing that night. And Woodlawn's been there every year. So,
mm-hmm.
I mean, they're used to it. And so, they fell behind, and they were down 14 points at the beginning of the third quarter, and then everything clicked. And then the real Effingham St. Anthony team showed up, and they made their run. Gibson ended up with 32 points, and, then they went on to state. They beat a pretty good Chicago Hope Academy team, and then they jumped out on Oakville. And in that championship game, that was a very, very good championship game. Oakville came back and rallied, and they made the free throws and won it in overtime. So it was a great year. Those were by far, to me, the 2 best 1A teams, definitely in my area. And as it turned out, they were the best 2 1A teams in the state.
Yeah, the Gibson kid's really a special player. Danny and I were down there at the Super Sectional watching that, and yeah, he had that foul trouble in the first half, so you never did really see him get going. But boy, in the second half, he sure took over.
He kind of strapped that team on his back and took over, didn't he?
Well, yeah, and it was a thing where it was weird because I had seen them play earlier in the year, and he didn't have to do that. I mean, going into the postseason this year, they had 3 other kids that all averaged right at 8 points a game. So, and Gibson was averaging right at 20. So it wasn't a deal where he had to carry them every night. But he stepped up, when they needed it that night.
Well, then you flip over to the 2A side, Jack. You had that Mount Carmel Aces team that a lot of people in Illinois didn't know a lot about because they play over in that Apollo 8 in Indiana. But what a run by that group of young men.
Well, they've been known for years as a football powerhouse. I mean, that's what they made their name. When people mention Mount Carmel, when it comes to high school athletics, that's what comes about. And then, Tyra Buss, the young lady that, broke all the records as far as scoring. But her brother, Tyler, has done an incredible job over there turning the mindset over into, hey, we can play basketball too. And, they had 2 really, really special kids playing this year. Jackson Marcotte, who ended up being my 2A player of the year. He's a junior. He'll be back next year. His numbers are very, very impressive. And Justin Carpenter, who took on a different role this year for their team, where he became he was less of a scorer this year and more of a passer, and he did a lot of the dirty work. He led the team. He was right there with Marcotte in rebounding, and he was second on the team in assists. And, they just put it all together. And, when they got to SIU, they beat a really, really good Alton Marquette team bad. I mean, they beat them. That game was over by the end of the first quarter. And so, they got the state, and they played well up there, but they ran into a really good Chicago Ore team. And, but they made a great run. And trust me, they're going to be back. Marcotte's their only senior. And so they're going to be, they got 4 starters back and some other kids coming. So Mount Carmel will be very good next year.
Yeah, we talked to Tyler Buss here a couple of weeks ago on the show, and that's one of the things I mentioned to him. I said, well, there's going to be a lot of pressure because you're losing Justin Carpenter to SEMO, but everybody else is back. And I said, how about some young kids? He said, we've got a couple of freshmen and sophomore that he thought were going to make major impacts. And if the group of kids that started this year improve as much this summer as they did last summer, he's expecting some very big things out of that group.
And he should, because he's done a great job. Everyone that follows high school basketball knows that it's not just freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. You have to build these programs from the grade school level up. And the really good ones, if you look at all of the good teams and the good programs, the teams that are there every year, year after year after year, it all starts at the grade school level. And Woodlawn is a great case of that. They're a great example of that, where you build it at the bottom, you work your way up. And by the time these kids are freshmen, the big games doesn't bother them. And and being able to, the high school coach basically just fine tunes what he has instead of having, there were a lot of schools that, the kid shows up as a freshman and, he can't dribble with his left hand or he's got a problem shooting the ball. These things don't happen with these great programs because by the time those kids get to be freshmen, they're ready to play. You just got to work them into your offense and fine tune what you have. And the good programs do that, and Mount Carmel is becoming one of those programs.
Well, looking at next season here a little bit in 1A, what are you seeing as the teams you think is going to rise to the top?
Well, St. Anthony had 1 senior, just like Mount Carmel. I would expect them to be my preseason number 1 next year because even though they lost Gibson, who's their best player, they've got a good group. Now, I'm not sure exactly. I have not read it yet. I'm not exactly sure if the IHSA is going to bump them up to 2A or not because of their state championship run, that whole point thing now. So I really don't know. I haven't heard anything yet. They could very well be 2A. Woodlawn will be good again. I mean, they got some good young kids. The Bennett kid's really good. I was impressed with the McKay kid this year. They made a nice run in the postseason. They beat some teams they probably, they beat some teams that they lost to during the regular season. They beat some teams that they probably shouldn't have beat. But again, and I wrote this in one of the articles, when they beat Gallatin County in the sectional championship game, I say this, and I've said it for years now. The moment does not beat them. They're gonna show up at some nights, and they're gonna run into a team that's better than them, and they're gonna lose. And that happens. They lost 14 games this year, I think, but they're not going to get beat by the moment. They're not going to show up with that deer in the headlights kind of deal, and hey, this is 2,000 people here at NCOE gym. They're not going to show up, and that's going to happen. No, they're going to be ready, and that gets back to what I said a few minutes ago about building it up from the grade school level and building it on all the way through high school, and that's how those programs become successful.
The Gallatin County Hawks you just mentioned, they only lose Seth Ramsey. They could be a strong team in that 1A again next year.
Yeah, and Coach Miller does a great job down there. I know that you're close with him, being from McLeansboro. And the thing about Doug, he took over that program down there, and he's got some young kids, but he's got community support, and he talks about that a lot. That entire area down there, they back their Hawks, and so he's got a nice facility down there. By the way, they made a scheduling change this year. Also, they are going to be in the Wayne City Holiday Tournament coming up this year. They're going to be the 8th team that's going to replace the Fairfield JV. So they're going to have 8 varsity teams next year in the Wayne City tournament as of right now. So some of the local area people that are listening right now will get a chance to see Gallatin County for the next couple of years.
Yeah, that'll be great. Jumping over to 2A, of course, you mentioned Mount Carmel having everybody back and losing only Carpenter. Those El Dorado Eagles are going to have a lot coming back, too. They ought to be tough again.
Yeah, they should. Coach Bradley down there has got they made a run this year that probably no one expected. I mean, people thought that they were going to be pretty good, but I don't think anyone thought that they were going to win, 27 games or whatever they ended up with. They're getting the job done, and they were one of those teams that I saw them play earlier in the year, and even on nights where they didn't shoot the ball well, they rebounded very well. I was at the game where they beat Fairfield, and they out-rebounded the Mules 42-21, if I remember correctly. I mean, it was just, a lot of times they would have 3 or 4 second chances, and they'd finally put it in the hole. So, I mean, that's the kind of a deal that, if you have, if you can rebound and you can play defense, the offense will come along. One of the teams that people should never forget about, obviously, because they're a great program, but Pinckneyville will be back next year strong. They got 4 starters back, and including a first-team All-ABV pick, Grant Jousel. He'll be back. They're going to be good. Pinckneyville will be very good this year. Right off the top of my head, I look for DuQuoin to be better next year. They had a really good freshman kid, and he was hurt part of the year, but they're going to be very good. So there's a whole bunch of teams that are going to be improved next year over, what they've been showing. It's always interesting, and we don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen between now and next year, but it should be another exciting year.
Yeah, this year, me and Randy talked about it quite a bit through the season. We thought it was a season of parity. Most teams on a given night, a lot of teams could beat a lot of teams. Another team that should be strong would be that Weber Township team there in 1A. They got a lot of kids coming back. People like to think that group's going to get it all put together and maybe have something special there. So I think there's going to be a lot of great parity again next season. I don't expect high school basketball to have much of a drop-off.
Well, the good teams will stay good. I think Brad has done a great job there. Brad Beatty's done a great job there with that program. When he took over a team that basically didn't win a game the year before. His first year there, I think they went 0-24, and it was the same group of kids that went to the state baseball playoffs and got second in the state. which kind of blows my mind. Actually, that you could have the same kids playing one sport and they didn't win a game in that sport, but then they were one victory away from winning a state championship. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That is.
Anyway, but yeah, he's done a great job there. A lot of the things that happen in high school basketball, especially, is sometimes you just got to change the mindset. It's not just a physical thing; it's a mental thing, because you have to convince kids that, you know what, if you work hard and you do the right things, good things are going to happen. And sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years, but when you turn it around, the reward is great. And I think teams like Weber are finding this out, that if you work really hard and you increase the schedule, he's worked some better teams into his schedule. He played in a couple shootouts and things like that. If you work hard and you can change that mindset that they don't feel defeated when they walk out on the court, then you can create a winner. And I think Brad's done a fine job doing that.
What are you hearing on the coaching situation out of Marion?
I have heard nothing. I stay away from that stuff. I really do. Whoever's the coach there next year is the one I'll deal with. I mean, I know that there's been some changes already. There's been some resignations already. Some for personal reasons, some because they saw the writing on the wall and that kind of thing. And I stay out of that. I don't even want to talk about it. Whoever their coach is next year, next November, I'll deal with that.
That's probably a pretty good road to take right there.
Yeah, whoever's going to coach is going to coach, and that's just how I feel about it. I will deal with them next year.
You talk about changing the mindset in a program and taking over a program that, is in the toilet or really having some rough times. A good example of that, I think, is what Andy Fehrenbacher is doing at Salem. Here's a guy comes over from T-Town where he had a lot of success, and I realize that even though Salem's a 3A school, so it's not part of your normal coverage area, they're going to be moving into a Cahokia conference where they're going to play some 2A schools now in the next couple of years. And what he's done already in just the 2 short years he's been there has been pretty outstanding, and I look for them to continue to improve. And it's just neat when you see guys that are able to build programs from, like you say, the ground floor up, start at that grade school level, and try to change that mindset and turn it around.
Well, it's the same situation as you have when they hire a new men's basketball coach or a new women's basketball coach in college. You have to basically give them 5 years. You have to basically say, okay, whoever they recruit the first year, okay, by the time they're seniors, you should know something. You should know whether or not this program is going in the right direction or not. And it's the same thing with high school. And it gets back to what I've been saying. You have to build it from the ground floor. You have to look at, when you walk in to like a Pee-wee tournament or something, if you're a high school basketball coach, you need to get out there and look and say, okay, this is what I got coming. These are the kids that I'm going to be coaching in the next few years. I need to take a look at these kids and see what they're doing, see if they're doing anything wrong, talk to the coaches that are coaching these kids at this moment, and see if we can't get on the same page and build towards something in the future. And the good coaches can do that. And Andy, I am confident Andy will take care of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was one of the comments he made, Jack, that one of the first things he was going to do was he was going to have to go out into the feeder school systems and get things realized. We talked with Phil Lieb up at Flora, and he said that he's not really involved with that junior program. He said, I've got people that I entrust to handle that. He said, I go and I set up in the stands. He said, once in a while I have to go down and remind people that there's only one guy in Florida that plays for state championships, and at this time it's me. And he said I have to get them refocused once in a while, that state championships aren't won at the 4th and 5th grade level, but they sure begin to get developed at that stage. When I played at McLeansboro, we had the feeder schools in Dahlgren, Dale, Beaver Creek, and Eastside, and I was a young 5th grader playing at Dahlgren, just starting. Dave Lee and Lou Reed. Lou Reed was the football coach. Dave Lee was the athletic director and head basketball coach. He comes walking in the gym, and they stand down there in the doorway, and they watch the games that took place that evening. After the game, he walks over there, and he says to me, he said, hey, little man, he said, you might make a ball player one of these days, but you need to work on this, this, and this. What do you think I went and worked on?
This, and this.
That's exactly right. And that was a very good point that you made, that, these programs that are year in, year out there, it all starts at that level, and there's a lot more importance there than people want to realize.
Yeah, I forgot you were as old as I am.
Yeah.
There for a minute, I remember that now from back in the 70s. Wow.
Yeah.
Basketball. Yeah, I remember all those names. And I tell you what, basketball's the same. It's still a round ball, and it's still a goal, and you still have to put it in there, and you have to do that better than what other people do. But most coaches will tell you that if you can defend and you can rebound, you're going to be successful doing this. And a lot of it is, like we were talking about, it's mental, it's attitude. And when you change the mindset of these programs, you can see it, and the results will be in wins and losses.
Yeah. Well, before we let you go, got to let you weigh in on the college basketball Final Four, South Carolina against Gonzaga and Oregon against North Carolina. What do you think about those games tonight, Jack?
Well, I told Darren Kennard this. I filled out one bracket this year, and I watched maybe 25 to 30 minutes of college basketball this year. I'm pretty busy in the winter myself with high school ball, and so I don't really have a lot of time to do this. Well, I got 3 teams in the Final Four. South Carolina's the only one I didn't have. I had Oregon, I had North Carolina, and I had Gonzaga. I think it's North Carolina over Gonzaga in a close championship game. Carolina's just too good. They are deep. I know the Berry kid has an ankle issue right now, but I think that they are. This is North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I said it at the beginning of the year. One of the few times I watched basketball this year, I got to see them play a little bit, and they're just fundamentally too sound, and they have too many good athletes and shooters. But I think it's North Carolina or Gonzaga. My heart wants Gonzaga. I would like to have somebody like that. There's been a lot of the mid-major, the bracket buster things over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Gonzaga took it to the next level. Very few of them ever did. Wichita State made their big run, but most of the mid-majors, they'll have a year or two that they're a factor, and then they fall off. There's one of them pretty close to us. They kind of fell off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Their colors aren't maroon and white, are they?
They took a deep drop. But Gonzaga has stayed true to their form, and it's great that Mark Pugh stayed there because he had job offers. He could have went somewhere else. He didn't. He stayed there, and it would be a nice reward for them if they would somehow win it. But I think it's North Carolina over Gonzaga in the championship game.
Okay, and then one more question before we let you go. I know you're going to have a reaction to this. What do you think about your Oakland Raiders moving to Las Vegas?
They could move to Saskatoon. It wouldn't make any difference to me. I'm a Raiders fan. I don't care where they play. I'm not like the fair weather St. Louis Rams fans that kind of jumped off the bandwagon when they went back to L.A. If you're a fan of your team, it shouldn't matter what stadium they're playing in. They got the deal where their lease runs out in 2019,
right?
And their stadium in Vegas won't be ready until 2020. So they're gonna have a year there where they're gonna have to play somewhere. And I thought, you know what? We got this empty dome over here in St. Louis.
Uh-huh.
I am sure we could work something out.
Yeah, there you go.
It'd be nice for you, wouldn't it? Be a lot closer to go see them play.
Well, I told this friend of mine, Bryan Turner over there.
Oh, yeah.
Weezer.
Right.
Well, he's a Raiders fan too, and I told him, I said, round trip tickets to Vegas are a lot cheaper than it would be to fly to Oakland. So it wouldn't be a big stretch to make a trip or two. So
yeah. Well, Jack, hey,
I think they're going to be good. By the way, I think last year, with Carr breaking his leg, that kind of put a damper on the whole deal. But they have built something. Jack Del Rio's done an incredible job. They have built something that's going to last, and I fully expect them to contend for a Super Bowl this year.
All right. Well, hey, we appreciate you joining us this morning on the Sports Couch. Always fun to chat. And, again, you do a great job with your website at Baseline View. And, again, if people haven't been on there, check it out at baselineview.com. Jack, have yourself a great weekend, all right?
All right. Thank you, Randy.
Take care now. All righty. Bye-bye. Jack Bullock of a baselineview.com. And, if you like 1A and 2A basketball, he does a tremendous job.
Very thorough at it. He's a very knowledgeable basketball man, and he attends a lot of basketball throughout southern Illinois. So, he's got a great website there. And like he said, he had the 1 and 2 teams in 1A basketball picked all season long.
How about that? Good job by him. Hey, we're out of time, Danny. Anything else? I think we've hit on a little bit of everything today.
Final Four action tonight, and St. Louis Cardinals tip off tomorrow night.
That's right. Go Cardinals. So we'll be back next week on the Sports Couch. 90 minutes of great local sports talk. Hope you are here with us. Until then, have a great weekend, everyone. So long.
This is your station for the Casting Crowns concert on Good Friday, April 14th at the SIU Arena in Carbondale. This is WBYN, Blueford, Wayne City, Fairfield, McLeansboro, and Mount Vernon.
And now on Translator, W288CO Centralia, broadcasting at 105.5.
A service of Real Life Radio Foundation.
The best Christian music, 90.9